Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 5 of Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk. Tonight's going to be a little bit different. I have a very, very special guest with me tonight, Coach Pete Wehry. So let's get started.
Hey,
All right, everyone. Welcome back to Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk. Again, I want to welcome my guest, Coach Pete Wehry. Um, welcome, Pete. Thank you for being here tonight with me, and I'm excited to get this show started. How are you doing?
I'm blessed and honored. Thank you for having me, Jasmine, and looking forward to seeing how we can interact and see who we can impact.
Of course, anytime, anytime. Just to start out, tell me a little bit about Nations of Coaches. What is it about? What is it exactly for the viewers out there?
Okay, so in 2008, there was a crying need in college basketball to support coaches. Um, the stresses and the pressures that coaches face, the overwhelming need to win, the overwhelming pressures to get players, to keep players, and um, the executive director of the NABC, National Association of Basketball Coaches, Jim Haney, saw this and reached out and talked to a fellow, my friend Tommy Kyle, who's the CEO of Nations of Coaches. And Tommy um, began this ministry with the help of the NABC to support coaches. And how we do that is there's three key ways. We support them professionally. We do training, legacy summits, and that's not about X's and O's. As we're watching this, some people are watching on YouTube. You can get that anywhere on X's and O's on YouTube or any other type of media. But to talk to them how to minister to kids, how to serve kids, how to coach kids, how to lead is a challenge. So we do that. Second one is the pressures of family. Coaches, over 50% of coaches, marriages end up in divorce. So we want to support that. So we do marriage ministry, which has been out of control. We have a women's Bible study. We just had 60 coaches, and this is, post-COVID, we were limited on the number we could have. We had 60 coaches and their wives attend Wind Shape Marriage Retreat, which is put on by Chick-fil-A. We do that at no cost for the coaches and just invest in them. And then probably the key component is we try to add for every school what we call a character coach. And that is somebody to support the players and the coaching staff, come alongside them during the season, off season, whatever it may be, just to handle the stresses and the challenges. And, Jasmine, I'm going to jump right here. You know this. Just by the very nature of social media, anxiety, fear, worry, comparison, that stuff is real.
Yeah.
And who's helping young people navigate that? And that's kind of what we do. We help, coaches are aware of it, but the fan in the stands doesn't care about the kid having anxiety. Can you win me a game? And that's ridiculous because the truth is it's not a player. He's a person with real fears and real needs, but that's reality, and we try to help in that way.
Well, that's amazing. That touches me because I love me being a sports analyst. I want to make sure that I take into account people's mental health, emotional health, spiritual health. But how did you get started with this organization? What inspired you to be a part of this?
So I coached high school for 19 years, ended up going to a college in Wisconsin, and I was dean of students and assistant basketball coach. So when I jumped into that, about 3 years in, they asked me to be the head coach and AD. When you're a head coach of a college program, one of the privileges is going to the Final Four. So I go to the Final Four, and I think it's Detroit 2009. I see Nations of Coaches. I go to a couple of their events. At that point, very frankly, we're just embryonic. I mean, it started in 2008, so we probably only had 10 character coaches. I mean, it was just, again, it was in the nurturing stage. long story short, 2012, I'm contemplating how I can continue to mentor and invest in young people. Coaching obviously can be done, but I saw this. I began praying about it, and in 2012 in New Orleans, I talked to the executive director, Tommy Kyle, and he said, I do things slow. So 6 months in, I'm still coaching my team, which is funny because it's the best year we ever had. We were ranked number 2 in the country. Sounds really good, but there's only 55 schools. But we're really good. And but I knew it was time. And so that's how I jumped in. I was the first regional director because at that point, this is 5 years later, we have 50 character coaches. And right now we're on the precipice. Since I've been with Nation Coach, we're about ready to have about 175 this year. It's organic and exponential in its growth. And part of that reason is coaches. Coaches are seeing the impact that a character coach can have. They could see the impact. Like I said, we have Division I, NAIA, D3, D2 coaches come to our marriage retreat. And it's a big deal because even the people doing the marriage like training, they don't come up and say, hey, you need to be together at dinner at home. That's how you grow. And coaches are going to go, that's just not possible, right?
Right.
If things continue to go forward for you, I'm sitting in a residence inn. They're probably going to chance Jasmine's going to be sitting, in a residence inn or, some Hampton Inn, something. You're going to travel. And that can be tenuous on relationships.
Right.
So that's how I got into it. I don't like what I do. I love what I do. I mean, I wake up juiced every day. Like I have the greatest privilege in the world to invest in people. So
that's amazing. I love how you put that. Just having that relationship and building relationships is so important. Especially number one is being in a strong relationship with Jesus and just building that and showing others how to be strong and be tough in the sports. Speaking of relationships, right? You being in this organization, what is some of the biggest, if not the biggest, success story that you've seen in the past time you've been part of this organization?
Well, I'm going to be real upfront with you here. We have a number of those, and we're often very guarded just to not just throw out names. Not only because it's potential name dropping, but it also, we want to keep things confidential. We had a coach who's very close to one of our staff members say, I'm done. I'm done with my marriage. We're done. We asked him to go to an intensive marriage thing with WinShape, which is, again, supported by Chick-fil-A. He said, I'm going to do it, and I'll put it just like this, Jasmine. He said, but I'm just going to check it off the box. That's all I'm doing. And by the end of that week, their marriage had been restored. He shared that at the marriage retreat, and there were coaches. And we're talking, and Jasmine, you get it. This is your world. And people probably listening, this is their world. We had coaches, assistant coaches who have recruited some of the best known college players in the country in tears, bawling, because they've gone through this. We had a Division I coach who we brought, and we do this. We bring not just one character coach. We bring 3 or 4 so they can vet and get the guy they want. The only thing worse than a character coach or not having a character coach would be have a bad character coach. So we make sure we get people that'll go and serve and give and pour themselves into people. And we brought 3 or 4 guys, and he chose the guy we thought he wouldn't choose, which was an inner city pastor. And basically he changed the culture of that team. And that coach came to faith. And he was very guarded at first, understandably. But for those 2 stories, I can tell you this morning, I got a phone call from a coach who was thinking about getting out of the business, who I've had the privilege to the last 3 weeks help him navigate his marriage. I don't even know if I can quantify that, because he has 2 little girls. And for people out there that have family, how the devastating that be. I came from a broken home, And there was a lot of tension because of that. Now, I'm blessed. I got a really good stepdad, blah, blah, blah. That's my story. But not everybody has that story. And
Right.
so, I often say the best medicine, I mean, I hate the dentist. Jasmine, do you like the dentist?
Not at all.
No. And there's the
Not at
worst
all.
sound, and I'm going to do this. The worst sound in the world is that, but man, I hate
Yeah.
that sound now. Well, instead of going to the dentist, I want to brush my teeth. The best medicine is preventive medicine. And if we can help coaches in their marriages, with their teams, you said it with players that we get a sense that they're having anxiety and fear. And I'll say two things, Jasmine, this will help you as you contemplate talking more about it. 78% of Division I players come from single or non-parent homes. So sometimes the only family that they'll really ever see is their coaches. And that's a big deal. And there's just a challenge there for us to provide these young people role models and a model of what a marriage, a family would be like, and some other opportunities that we do.
That's amazing. I'm so glad that I'm able to talk to you about these things. I think it's so important, and I'm a real advocate for that. For people having a role model, someone they can trust, not just just play the sport and just that's it. I'm really against that. I want people to feel heard and feel like people have your back.
Yes,
Thank you so
yes,
much for that.
that's
Um,
interesting.
yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much. If you guys want to definitely keep track with me, you can follow me at First Impression Sports Talk on YouTube. You can also check me out on Instagram at GameSpace_sports. And if you want to get in contact with me on LinkedIn, it's Jasmine Pollock. And here I'm with Coach Pete Wehry. Again, this is Coach Pete Wehry. On to the next topic. How can an individual gain knowledge about this? How can they say, hey, I want to get involved in this. I want to be a part of this. Or I know someone who needs help. I need someone who I want to get involved with this. Where do they start to get involved?
One of the best things for them to do is to go to our website, which is I can see on the TV screen. You can go to that, and there's interest forms. You can fill those out. We have people that'll contact you. Coaches, you can fill out one of those and say, hey, give me a call. I'd be interested in this. If you're interested in being a character coach, and by the way, 95% of our character coaches are volunteers. And because it's a public university, we can't ask for anything, okay?
Right.
And we don't. We want, and that's a whole nother thing. Coaches, everybody wants to be a coach's friend, especially if it's a big time program, right? So they're very guarded, and they should be. And so that's one way. I want to throw this out earlier, and I just thought of it, Jasmine. Do you know what the toughest day for a college athlete is often?
Oh, good question.
You know what the toughest day is? Graduation day. Because their whole life they've played ball. And if they're not going to go to Europe, or they're not going to play in the league or the G League or NBA, they then go, man, I got this, and I'm careful how I say it like this, but I got this degree in hotel management or whatever they got it in, but it's not really what I wanted to do. I had to go to school. So, we just want to be there when those kids face those times. Like, now what do I do?
Right.
And, if somebody out there is like, man, I'd love to walk through life with kids like that, go to that Nations of Coaches website and fill out an interest form.
You guys heard that. Fill out an interest form. This is really good work. I really enjoy seeing this. This is amazing. You guys are really doing God's work, so I'm thankful to be a part of this. Coach, being that you mentioned college athletes, what do you think about the name, image, licensing ruling? What is your take on that?
For me, it would be a split decision. And the reason it's a split decision, it's because there's this question of, will the kids get this opportunity to really get support and help for all their work and what they've done? Or is somebody come in and become their handler and use that as a platform for them to move forward? And I could promise you that's already probably going on, because somebody's going to say, man, I can make dollars off, and it's very important that kids find people they can trust to talk to and to gain confidence, because there's just too many people out there that are not looking out for the young people. They're looking out for themselves. I was in a meeting with the team, and they went through the whole thing with the players. And the truth is, I'm not sure where this is all going to go.
Right.
I think it's a roll the dice crapshoot. It may end up causing major headaches. It may end up, some kids maybe make money, others not. I don't know how it's going to affect teams. If you got a player on your team, and he may not be as good as me, but he got a better agent and he's making money and I'm not making, But I will tell you this, and I coaching in college is much harder than in the NBA.
It seems that way. I would agree with that. Yeah.
Because the NBA, if a guy's late, you just fine him.
Mm-hmm.
If a guy's not doing what he's supposed to do, he gone.
Right.
Right. Which I'm not sure that's best for these kids that leave early and they're like, now they're 20 and they don't know what to do, right? But when you got an 18 to 22-year-old and he's not making the best decisions, which I would say out loud publicly, I am 59, but when I was 18 and 22, I did not make the best decisions. Here's the kicker, Jasmine. I am 59. About a week ago, I didn't make a good decision. We don't always make the wisest decision. It's not a slam on people. It's just reality that somebody's going to have to help them navigate this. And I think there may come a branch of people that will help these young people. But it's going to take time to navigate that, then cultivate it, and then institute it. It's going to take time. Yeah. It could be a hot mess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think I'm kind of in the middle with it. You want to see the players, these young players get what they deserve, but I feel that sometimes it may get to their head also, and they may not be the best version of themselves, and the world is like constantly watching them. We were talking before the show started about you and your son doing a podcast. Give us a little insight on that.
That's not Nations of Coaches. That is not. But what it is it's my desire, my son's desire, to mentor and to guide young people in manhood and masculinity, just being a man, being responsible, manhood. So we've started a podcast called Wehry Dads, which obviously is a playoff of our names. And the truth is I have two boys, and Jasmine, this is really huge. And my son might even be watching this. He's probably already laughing, going, oh, he's going to tell that story. But my oldest son, and there's always a debate in our family whether he was 8 or 9. He says 12. I don't believe it. I came home one day and he said, Dad, I was reading Plato. And I went, okay. When I was 8 or 9, I was playing with Plato, so we're going to have to work through this sucker, right? So the cool thing about I feel like our podcast is I'm a steak and potatoes guy, very practical. That's my opinion. This is what I do. Cut and dry. This is how we do it. My son is very, very reflective, very well-read, and he sees the imperative, and he's helped me to see the imperative of that your philosophy drives your morals, your values, and that impacts your practical. So I think the shows ended up being pretty cool because we get kind of a whole sphere of who the two of us are, and we help people navigate the standings and the situations of life.
That's amazing. Remember, guys, that's Wehry Dads. Please check that out. Coach, one more question before we get out of here. Who are you picking in the finals? Who is going to win?
Oh, the NBA?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Jasmine, you're not going to like me on this one because I really have not. I grew up in New England.
Yeah.
So I watch the Celts.
Mm-hmm.
And when the Celts lose, I kind of just stop watching. So I have not really watched.
Okay.
But I know enough I can get myself into trouble making a pick. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting that when Giannis went out, I think the Bucks started almost in some ways to play better. And I think not that they shouldn't have Giannis. We all know he's special, blah, blah, blah. But what happens in the NBA is the ball can get stuck. and it can
Yeah.
go. And then there's a lot of isolation. There's not the movement, and so that kind of happens. So I think in some ways that may help them, but I just think that Phoenix shares it. They move it, and I can honestly say to you, not that the Bucks culture isn't great, but
Hmm.
Monty Williams is a different dude.
Yeah, I agree.
He's a and you're first of all he's a man of faith,
Hmm.
and what he's gone through with his family and the situation with his wife. When you navigate those hard things, there's resiliency in your walk, and people note it. And then he's in the moment. You learn to live in the moment.
Right.
Before you got on today, I got a call from one of our character coaches, but it wasn't him. It was his wife.
Hmm.
One of our character coaches passed away last night, and,
Oh.
and somebody. But what that tells me, and people don't like to talk about this, but there's the brevity of life. Life is a vapor. I mean, it comes and it goes. And I'm
Right.
59, and I don't know if I'll have tomorrow's breath. And the fact is, Jasmine, I'm not going to guess your age because then I'm out. You'll never have me back, and we ain't going to go nowhere ever again in this conversation. But the fact is, you could be gone tomorrow, car accident, whatever. And I think we need to recognize that. And so, but when you endure something like Monte Williams, it rubs off. So
Right.
that would be. I'm going to go with probably Phoenix, and I'll have 8 people because I coached in Wisconsin. I will have 8 people if they ever get on this and they hear it. I will get text
Oh
tomorrow.
yeah. Of
And you
course.
know what? I'll just give them an emoji and move on.
Right. I'm leaning towards Phoenix too. I just think they're playing as a unit right now, and this Chris Paul, he has all this going on. That he's making history for himself and his legacy. So I think he's gonna. I think I'll give the edge, a slight edge to Phoenix. But Coach, thank you so much for being on the show. I really blessed and thankful to get your insight about your organization, um, Nations of Coaches. I thank you so much for being here tonight with me. I want to thank you, the audience, for tuning in. Thank you so much. And if you guys want to follow me on Instagram, Jasmine_sports. And then if you want to see me on LinkedIn, Jasmine Pollock. And if you want to see me on YouTube, it's Game Space Sports Content. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful night. Bye.
Thank you.